acompañarnos. Soy Susana Moscatel y tengo una gran historia que contarles con grandes protagonistas. Es que todos los que vivimos en ciudades complicadas sabemos que tuvieron que pasar muchísimas cosas para que las cosas sean como son. Hablando de infraestructura, sin embargo, hay cosas que nunca imaginamos. ¿Por qué todo esto? La película de Edward Norton, su ópera prima, no solo como director, sino como adaptador. Platicamos con él porque esta película la tenía en su corazón desde hace 2 décadas. Sin embargo, hasta ahora es una realidad y van a ver qué interesante se pone.
Edward, I'm so happy to be here because I'm always happy to see you, but this has been over 20 years in the making in your heart and mind. So what has to happen so something finally happens? And
things can rattle around in your head even when you're not working on them, and that was the case for me. It wasn't 20 years of constant work at all. That's when I read the book. I just haven't read the book, but it stayed in my head. The character stayed in my head, and eventually I was like, well, maybe I should try to adapt it, you know. Then I realized I wanted to do something somewhat bold with the adaptation and use the character from the book because he's so good, but send him off into a different story about things that happened in New York. The author liked that idea.
A different time, too.
Yeah, a different time. And as it evolved, it sort of, by the time it got to a certain point of me having written a very particular story, it was like, well, I should direct this because I know what I want to do, you know.
Yes.
Why sit over someone's shoulder saying, no, you got to do it. It's like, just do it, you know.
Siempre hemos visto a Edward Norton hacer papeles verdaderamente variados e intensos, impactantes. Historia Americana X, por ejemplo, es algo que jamás podemos olvidar los que la vimos. Es brillante el hombre como actor. Se avienta como directora a dirigirse a sí mismo. Así que había que preguntarle, ¿quién gana en esa competencia? Porque son responsabilidades distintas, simultáneas.
Right, direct and act when you were doing, and it's a very complicated character to do right. So, was informing who? The actor, the writer, or the director, or did you not separate them?
No, it's a good question. I think the director in you always holds sway even over the actor. Like sometimes the actor in me would say, I want to do one more, and the director would go, no, you can't do another one. We have to keep moving.
So, yeah.
So I was like,
so he had the final decision.
Yes.
That's really cool. Now, this is a movie I'm very glad to see because I believe you still have faith in audiences. Most movies are now, or a lot of them, formula, go.
Yeah.
And here you have to make us think. You still believe people want to think in the movie.
Yeah, a lot of movies are fast food. They feel good and easy in the beginning, but then they're not very nutritious. You know what I mean? They don't. And I think people underestimate what audiences get out of want out of films. I don't think that people. I honestly don't think people are as unsophisticated as a lot of times for some reason the movie industry thinks they are. I think people. If we look at the films we call classic films, they're often very opaque. You don't know really what's going on. But you are held by performances and characters and ideas that are interesting in their own right.
And it's really cool not to know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
I like
exactly.
that.
Les cuento que en esta película Alec Baldwin hace un personaje muy parecido a Donald Trump, pero no a su sátira de Donald Trump, sino a un hombre que se dedica a construir cosas que marginan muchos sectores de la sociedad. Y esto es parte de lo que se está narrando en esta historia. Una historia muy hermosa porque es trágica y fea, pero finalmente muestra un Nueva York fantástico y un Nueva York racista a la vez. Hermosa por la forma en la que lo cuenta y denuncia.
The city's such a big character here. I'm from Mexico City. I love New York. I know there's people from other cities, so it makes me think. I know it's about New York, but I believe this is power. Power is about cities. What was that like?
Not just that. It's all societies have sort of the challenge and the problem of not allowing people to have power over them who they didn't empower, right? In our modern democracies, our ideal is that the power is with us, and that if we say the priority is taking care of everybody, taking care of everyone, holding on to the values of our communities, even like our great train station, like in New York, it was one of the iconic spaces, and it was lost because people weren't aware that other people with power were going to take it away, so that they could build a pretty crappy stadium, you know what I mean? And it shouldn't have happened. And there are a lot of things that happen that shouldn't happen, where there's damage that lasts if we're not paying attention to who really holds the power, and saying to them, no, you still answer to us. That's why I like the detective. The detective in these films, usually he's like all of us. He's in his life. He's doing his thing. It's for a buck. He's not things. But as he begins to see the depth of what's going on, he starts to get more and more irritated, and finally say, like how much of this do you think we're going to take? Like, we're not going to take it. And I like that. I think it's a healthy challenge to the power that's trying to hide from the rest of us.
Este es un gran elenco, un extraordinario elenco. Y antes incluso de que Willem Dafoe viniera aquí a México, al Festival de Cine de Morelia con su siguiente película, ya estaba hablando solo con nosotros de esta. Es importante saber que pues es un hombre hasta tímido, así como lo vemos impactante en la pantalla, no se deja halagar fácilmente. Y no es labor de un reportero necesariamente halagar, pero por favor, es Willem Dafoe. Veamos.
Well, here I am with one of the most amazing actors in the world. And I say this not lightly. I've seen you in the theater. I see you, whenever I see a movie you're in, I go. Not many people can.
Sweet.
What have you had to do as an actor to have people have this reaction? Because it's not just anything.
I don't know. It's more about you than about me, maybe. Maybe you got good taste.
I do. And I especially like movies that make you think and movies that make you discover things, and you don't get to see that much of those movies anymore. So I think this is something special.
Yes,
Is that
I think
something
so
that drew
too.
you to it?
Yes. I mean, this movie is, I think it's entertaining and fun to see because it used film language. It's sort of a noir, so it's colorful and it's exotic, but it's also weirdly familiar because it's a Valentine to New York in some ways. But above all, it's got real content. In the story, certain questions arise that I think are interesting to address ourselves to then and now.
Absolutely, because what we're seeing there is, what we see now is a result of what we're getting told here.
Yes.
Maybe not biographically precisely, but it's sort of the way the cities are built.
Right, it is. And we have to address ourselves to that.
Muchos planteamientos que surgen en esta película que verdaderamente vale la pena considerar para nuestras propias vidas, porque sí, vaya, están hablando de Nueva York, pero mucho de lo que ocurre ahí, ocurre aquí. Y en términos de planear una ciudad y quién tiene acceso a qué y quién va a tener oportunidad de salir adelante y quién no, bueno, todo eso podría ser una calca de muchas cosas que ocurren en el mundo entero, particularmente en la Ciudad de México también. Pero también hay cosas buenas en esa planeación de las ciudades. ¿Es posible, en este contexto y ya en general, le preguntábamos a Willem Dafoe, separar el bien del mal? Vaya, ¿tienen que estar las dos cosas siempre separadas?
So would you say there's good and evil, or you cannot do something really good without a little bad?
I think that's true. I mean, and that's always a question about socio-political things. When you do something, you got to see what the fallout is and make a calibration of, is it for the majority? Is it for the best? Is it for the future that we can't see? It's all that measuring, all that compromise, all that weighing is complicated. And I think there's a taste of that.
Y siendo él uno de los grandes actores que tenemos hoy en día, pues siempre hay que saber cómo toma decisiones, por qué este personaje sí y este no. El personaje que lleva a cabo aquí no es de los más grandes de la película, sin duda es de los más impactantes. ¿Por qué hacer Huérfanos de Nueva York siendo Willem Dafoe?
I think it's quite interesting that this took over 20 years to get done.
Right.
So when did you get involved and how did this come about?
I got involved quite late. I mean, I think most of the cast was in place, and Edward approached me and said, I really would love you to do this character. It was quite late, actually. In fact, I was growing my beard for The Lighthouse, and I said to him, I don't think I can do the movie because I'm not going to wear a fake beard for The Lighthouse. I'm going to grow this beard. And in the 1950s, New York City, people didn't have beards. I would have stuck out. It would have seemed strange. It would have looked like I was preparing for another movie. I thought, it'll be hard to enter the world. And he said, well, wait, hold on. Let me think about it for a day. And he called up and said, listen, I think it's okay. We'll be okay. And what's interesting is I think it works in the movie because the very thing that I was worried about, setting him apart from the other people, really helped. In the beginning, when you first see him, he really looks like a homeless guy that's so marginalized that it sets up a little trap for the audience because he's not what he appears to be, and I think that's an important little device that happens in the story.
Estamos por cerrar el año y hemos visto buenas películas, vienen buenas películas, Netflix le está dando con todo. Esta es todavía una película de estudio y eso se aprecia profundamente. Qué bueno que Edward Norton pudo hacer esto y ojalá se puedan seguir haciendo películas de género. Este género es de detective noir y realmente es una película interesante con un ritmo digno, algo que deben ver. Muy recomendable. Soy Susana Moscatel. Gracias a todos. Vayan al cine. Hay cosas buenas.